All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, a highly spiritual fight on both the left and right hand side. Okay. So this past weekend, you had the highly anticipated fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and King Ryan Garcia take place on Saturday, April the 22nd, right? Now, what really inspired me to actually do this video was the live video that Alazar of the Sakari just did. Okay, he pointed out a few things about this fight that were highly spiritual. Okay, from a biblical standpoint or a biblical vantage point, it was highly spiritual. Okay, so me looking at that live and some of the things he brought out, I came to realize that for those of us that actually watched the fight, believe it or not, we watched a miracle take place. Okay, something miraculous happened. All right, now I'll be pointing that out more towards the second half of this video. Okay, but what you have to understand is even though we have this right hand spiritual aspect of this particular fight, there was also a left-handed aspect as well when you look at this from a spiritual vantage point. Okay, because you can have both at the same time. All right, but what you have to understand, the Most High is the one that's orchestrating it all. Okay, he orchestrates both the left and the right hand side. This is his movie. Okay, but there was a spiritual undertone to this fight, a spiritual message. Okay, if you actually look at this from a spiritual vantage point, okay, if you're actually able to receive it, okay. So what I want to do first, I want to look at this, take a look at some of the things that I saw, okay, and give my critique from a spiritual vantage point. Now, again, this is just my critique when looking at this, the left-handed messages. It's just my critique. I could be wrong on that point. Okay, but the right-handed, the right-handed message that you see, that's not a critique. That's clear. Okay, but what I want to do, I want to get right into this and let's look at some of the things that I actually found. Okay, because quiet as a kept, I actually, most of this information I've been sitting on since last Thursday. Okay, because I was actually debating whether or not I was going to do a video about this fight last Friday, given my prediction about who would win, based on a lot of the findings that I had. But I decided not to do it, on Friday. But since Alazar came out with this information, I said, okay, maybe I will revisit this. Okay. So without further ado, let's actually get into the topic at hand. Okay. All right. So opening up now for you brothers that's actually been, following the build up to this fight. You probably watched the 2 episodes of All Access, okay, on Showtime, right? Pretty much building up to the fight that happened on April the 22nd, right? So I believe this is actually a scene from the first All Access. I want to say it's the first one, okay? Now, looking at this, this is Gervonta Davis, okay? We're about to look at the left-handed, signs that, I saw. And it's just my critique, okay? But, looking at this particular scene, I want to put focus on his hat. Okay, now, of course, the hat says sex, right? Now, one may be asking, well, why is this important? Okay, what does this have to do with anything? Okay, you have to understand that a lot of times these celebrities, these athletes, so on and so forth, they're playing a role. Okay, a lot of times they have to play the role of a lot of the different gods and goddesses of old. Okay, they have to be they play the physical manifestation of these so-called gods. Okay, but it's going to be more clear once we actually get into the short video that we're about to get into. But notice in this particular episode of All Access, he has this hat on that says sex. Okay, so now with that in mind, let's actually go to the final press conference before the fight that actually took place. I want to say it was on Saturday. No, not Saturday. It was on Thursday. Okay, the final press conference. Okay, so this is going to be more towards the end of that press conference. All right, so let's take a look.
This super fight, tell these folks, final word, what they're going to get come Saturday night.
His ass whooped.
Yo, Gervonta is funny. Okay, now a lot of people actually think that when it comes to the verbal battle from between these two, that Ryan Garcia actually won the verbal battle throughout this build up. But let's be clear, Gervonta had his moments. All right, but the reason I froze the video here is I want to put emphasis again on his hat. Now look at this. Now, pretty much the same thing. His hat says, "I love sex." Now, what is the purpose of wearing this hat? What? Okay, now those of you who were asking why I put emphasis on the hat in the last slide, now you see this is starting to become a thing. Now, and why? And you can see that the cameraman is placing emphasis on this hat. Okay, so let's actually let the video run a little bit more. Now, then you're gonna understand why I'm asking these questions about this hat. Okay, let's let it roll.
What'd he say?
An ass whooping.
Oh.
Dude straight repeated it. That's funny.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. It's gonna be an ass whooping. We shall see. Captain Hook is coming.
That's what I wanted right there. Did you hear what Ryan Garcia just said? Okay, now the average person, that'll go in one ear and out the other. Okay, now from a two-dimensional perspective, he's saying Captain Hook is coming because, all throughout this build-up, Gervonta has been saying all he has is a left hook. Okay, so from a two-dimensional perspective, yeah, that could be what he's alluding to. Captain Hook is coming because of that, that patented left hook that he has. Okay, but when you look at this from a spiritual vantage point, he said Captain Hook is coming, right? Now, if Ryan Garcia is Captain Hook, what would that make Gervonta? That would make him Peter Pan, or AKA Pan. Okay? Now it should really make sense why Gervonta is wearing that hat. Okay? If you know anything about the so-called god Pan, okay, he is a god of sexuality. Okay, Pan was a so-called woodland god of sexuality. Okay, he was half man, half goat, known for his sexual aspect. And Pan would sleep with anything. That's men, women, children, animals, you name it. That's Pan. That's what he does. Okay, in fact, the word pan, that's where you get the phrase pansexual from. Okay, the word pan really just means all, all, all sexual. Okay, but from a spiritual vantage point, if, Gervonta is playing the role of Pan, if that's the so-called God that, is being venerated right now, it makes sense why he's wearing that hat. Okay, now, is that the only thing that's on this particular hat? Could there be more to it? Am I just reaching? Or is it more esoteric things that's on this particular hat? Because there's a lot written on there. But there's two things that stood out to me. Now, of course, one of the things is what's on the front there. I love sex. But now let's get to the end. Let's get a still shot of the end of this particular press conference. So here, this is where they have the final standoff, or face off rather. Okay. Now, look at the side of the hat. Look at the side of the hat. The side of the hat has 777 on it. Okay. Now, if you remember, I believe I touched on this. Okay. When you look at my first 5 videos that I did. Okay. It was the Bad Boys for Life, Mamba for Life series that I did. That 5-part series. And I touched on what the number 7 represents. Okay. But if you actually forgot, let's get into it. Okay. I'm going to touch on it briefly. What 777 actually represents. Okay. So let's take a look. So opening up the next slide here. This, I actually pulled this from an article that I used for, like I said, the Bad Boys for Life, Mamba for Life series, right? And it reads, it says the number 777, order out of chaos. Let's read. It says again, could be a reference to another book by Aleister Crowley. And the title of the book is Book 777. Okay, so this is actually the title of a book by the world-renowned Satanist, Aleister Crowley, Book 777. Okay, so I believe that's the cover of the book. All right. So now let's scroll down a bit and let's actually zoom in here and let's read some more here. And it says, however, most believe it is code for order out of chaos, dealing with the number 777, right? It says, which is 777 in Jewish gematria, and which is an important motto for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Ordo ab Chao, which is order out of chaos. Okay. So that, order out of chaos, which is represented by the number 777, is a motto for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Now, not to digress too much, that's actually why you see a lot of these male celebrities, walking around wearing skirts, trying to make it look fashionable. Okay, what that is, that's actually a part of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Okay, now, from a 2-dimensional perspective, yes, it's a war on masculinity, trying to feminize men. But from a more spiritual vantage point, it's dealing with the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. That's where you get the aspect of what they call the divine kilt. Okay, you can look this up on your own time. But, they're pretty much just paying homage or, trying to show that they're the physical embodiment of the gods of old. That's all that's really going into. Okay, that's why they wear the skirts, But, like I said, not to digress too much, but yeah. Gervonta had 777 on the side of that hat, and that wasn't by happenstance. Okay. Now, is your brother Conniva reaching, or am I on point? Okay, I'll let you all be the judge of that. But you know, there's a reason why all that stuff is on that hat. Okay. Now that we've established that 777 represents order out of chaos. Okay, can I further prove that point? Is there a message that's being sent? Okay, let's look at a bit more of Gervonta's outfit that he was wearing on the day of this press conference. Okay, let's take a look at the shirt and let's see if it has any correlation to the hat. Okay, that's 777. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so this is a better view of that particular shirt that he was wearing. Okay, the day of that press conference, right? Now, if you look at it, you know, it's it's not the best image, but you could tell it's a rabbit. Okay, that's a rabbit. Now, what have I been saying on my past videos? What is this the year of? This is the year of the water rabbit, right? Now, I believe it was in my video at the end of last year. I gave my prediction for this year. And I said, you know, there could be something that happens that causes everybody to go down the rabbit hole, right? Now, what was on the side of that hat? It was 777, which represents order out of chaos. Correct? Now, could there be something on the horizon that's gonna cause chaos, to cause everybody to go down the rabbit hole? Who knows? Okay, this is just me giving my critique. I could be wrong, but it's just mighty strange, and I find it curious that he wears a hat with 777 on the side, which represents order out of chaos. And he wears a shirt of a rabbit. Okay, at the same time. Okay, we know this is the year of the water rabbit, and we know that they pay very close attention to this being the year of the water rabbit. You know, I made videos about what happened on the day of, the first day of the beginning of the year of the water rabbit. There was a mass shooting. Remember that? So they do pay credence to what type of year it is. Okay, what type of Chinese year it is, rather. Okay. But getting back to the point, this is the outfit that he wore. Okay, and I believe that, you know, it has a spiritual left-handed message to it. That's why he wore it. Okay. So now let's move forward and let's put a little bit more emphasis on the day that this fight took place. Okay. So of course, this fight took place last Saturday on April the 22nd. Correct? Now, again, what you got to understand when you're dealing with these so-called elites and, you know, looking at the things that they do on the left-hand side, the left-hand practices, they choose specific dates for these sporting events, for specific movies to come out, etc. They choose these specific dates most of the time for a specific esoteric reason. Okay? Now, what was so significant about April the 22nd? Okay, well, let's take a look at what April the 22nd was. All right? And you know what? Before we even do that, let's actually look up April the 22nd in the Gematria calculator. And let's see what it comes out to be. Okay? So now we went back to the gematria calculator, okay? And I actually spelt it out. I spelt out April 22nd. And would you look at what it came out to be? 223 or 223. Okay? Now, why is this significant? 223. Okay, now, of course, this is the year 2023. When you're dealing with gematria, you just simply drop the zero. The zero has no value. Okay? But this, of course, like I just said, this is the year 2023. And this came out to be 223. Okay? Now, what does 223 represent? Or 322, which is just the mirroring of 223. Okay? What that represents is skull and bones. Okay? Which is the Brotherhood of Death. Now, you all may be asking, well, Kanaiba, what are you talking about? What is this skull and bones? And what? I've never heard of that. Okay, so, well, let's get a little bit of information on skull and bones so you can further understand what I'm talking about. Okay, because as we just saw, when you spell out April 22nd in the gematria calculator, and that's the day the fight took place, April 22nd, it comes out to a numerical value of 223 or 223. Okay, which is simply the mirroring of 322. It's the same thing. Okay, so let's get a bit of information about this skull and bones. Okay, so this is a quick search on Wikipedia about skull and bones, and it reads, it says skull and bones, also known as the Order 322, or the Brotherhood of Death. Okay, so it says it's an undergraduate senior secret student society at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. The oldest senior class society at the university. Skull and Bones has become a cultural institution known for its powerful alumni and various conspiracy theories. It is one of the big three societies at Yale, the other two being Scroll and Key and Wolf's Head. Okie dokie. So that's a bit of information about Skull and Bones. Okay, so I said it's known as the Brotherhood of Death. Okay, now this year, 2023, we know is, of course, the year of the water rabbit, but it's also the year of Skull and Bones. Okay, which is the order of 322, or on the flip side, 223, 2023. Again, you just drop the zero and you get 223. Okay, and we know Skull and Bones, as we see here, is known as the Brotherhood of Death. That's why this year, in 2023, there's been so many deaths. Okay, a lot of mass murders. Okay, and we haven't even reached the halfway mark of this year yet. And there's been a tremendous amount of deaths this year. That's what this year represents. It's the year of Skull and Bones. Okay? But again, not to lose the point, again, they pick these specific days to have these sporting events. There's a reason Gervonta and Ryan had to fight on April the 22nd. Okay? It's just simply representing the year of Skull and Bones. Okay? And this is just my critique. Okay? But now, April 22nd also has even more significance. Okay? this was a so-called pagan holiday as well that went over a lot of people's heads. Okay, so let's take a look at what April the 22nd was. What pagan holiday was it? Now, look at this. Earth Day. This is a quick Wikipedia search on Earth Day. And it reads, it says Earth Day is an annual event on April 22nd to demonstrate support for environmental protection. It says first held on April 22nd, 1970. It now includes a wide range of events coordinated globally by earthday.org, formerly Earth Day Network. It says including 1 billion people in more than 193 countries. The official theme for 2023 is Invest in Our Planet. Now, you know, that may sound nice and give you a warm, fuzzy feeling on the surface. But again, this is just a mask, okay? Earth Day is in veneration of the so-called Mother Goddess, okay? To be more specific, the so-called Mother Goddess known as Gaia, okay? Gaia is represented by the Earth, okay? Actually, let's just get a little bit of information on that, okay? So it won't sound like I'm talking out the side of my neck. Okay, let's take a look at this. So this is some information on the so-called Mother Goddess Gaia. Okay, and it reads, it says in Greek mythology, Gaia, ancient Greek Gaia, it says political form of G, meaning land or earth. It says also spelled Gaia. I'm guessing I'm pronouncing that right. It says it's the personification of the earth. So this so-called goddess is a personification of the earth. That's why I said Earth Day is just in veneration of this particular goddess, Gaia. Okay, when you celebrate this Earth Day on April the 22nd, that's really what you're celebrating. It's really a pagan holiday. Okay? And ironically, or not so ironically, the fight took place on April 22nd. Again, I told you all, they picked these dates for these sporting events for a very specific reason. Okay, oftentimes it's to venerate the gods and goddesses of old. Okay, but let's see, where was I? It says and one of the Greek primordial deities. It says Gaia is the ancestral mother, sometimes parthogenic. It says of all life. She is the mother of Uranus, the sky, whom it says from whose sexual union she bore the Titans, themselves parents of many of the Olympian gods. It says the Cyclops and the giants, as well as of Pontus the sea, from whose union she bore the primordial sea gods. It says her equivalent in the Roman pantheon was Terra. Okay, so now that we understand what Earth Day really represents, it represents this false mother goddess. Now you should understand why the fight took place on April the 22nd. Okay, now again, it's just my critique, but it's just very curious that the fight took place on this specific day. Okay, but it actually makes sense as to why Gervonta Davis actually entered the ring in a green robe. Okay, the main color scheme he was wearing was green. Okay, again, could this be in veneration of Earth Day or the so-called Mother Goddess Gaia? Okay, because that green, it represents the earth or vegetation. Okay, it's just mighty strange. Okay, but I'll let you all be the judge of that. Okay, so now with that in mind, could April 22nd have been the only pagan holiday or pagan festival that took place that day? Well, let's take a look at something else. Okay, let's see if your brother Kanaiba is still reaching. Okay, let's take a look at this.